Hi, welcome to the Sorcerer's Revolution. Today I want to talk about an aspect of sorcery which is known as not doing. Not doing is the undoing of personal conditioning, personal patterning, interrupting and erasing bad habits, and so on. Now, each of us has a certain configuration in our body mind, which has come about as a result of years or decades of behaving in a certain way, of thinking in a certain manner. And all of this patterning, this conditioning, this programming is part of what we identify as a personal self. It has a name, it has a description, it has a purpose to individuate itself here in the everyday world, what Don Juan might call the tonal. But what modern man cannot understand, what our intellectuals fail to comprehend, it seems, is that there is a whole other side that is completely unacknowledged. It's not even unaddressed. It is simply unacknowledged, simply avoided through the process of individuation or the evolution of ego in the manifest world. Now, all of this has a purpose, this individuation process. It's how the universe or cosmos comes to know itself through a fractioning of awareness into these billions and trillions of points of individuated awareness through the various forms of organic life, sentient beings, animals, insects, plants, birds, trees, flowers, various types of plants, and so on. You have categories for these things. But as far as human consciousness goes, we only understand the tonal. And no matter how sophisticated our understanding of the tonal is, it won't allow us access to the abstract, to the world of the sorcerer, or simply the sorcerer's world, also known as the sorcerer's understanding. Now, to get this understanding requires an understanding of discipline. Now, by discipline, I don't mean harsh routines, like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going for a run and taking a cold shower until you're blue in the face, that sort of thing. I don't mean rigid patterning and routines, which is part of the evolution of the ego, the personal self. Rather, sorcerers understand discipline as acquiescing to the abstract, to the energy and information and intelligence all around us, the spirit, acquiescing to that knowledge, allowing energy and information to come in, allowing that intelligence to guide us with efficiency, unobstructed by the personal patterning and configuration of the personal self, with all its habits, neurosis, obsessions, compulsions, and so on, and disengaging or detaching from that patterning and allowing us to see in the undoing or not doing process exactly what it is that we have been avoiding. It's voluntarily entering into the stream of conscious life, of conscious intelligence, of the consciousness of spirit, of mind at large, tuning into that, becoming accessible to that, and ultimately identifying with that instead of merely and exclusively the individuated and limited patterning of the personal self or ego. Okay? In order to do this, in order to acquiesce with the present moment awareness, also known as heightened awareness or non-ordinary reality, we have to undo the patterning that is presently holding us prisoner. The egoic patterning of psychological conditioning, of thought as it passes through psychological time. We're variously caught up in various ideas of ourselves, whether grandiose or limited, comparisons, expectations, ideas of ourselves and what others think of us, what someone said to us today or yesterday, various grievances and resentments, the various problems that result as a consequence of conflict or friction between the fractioned part of awareness. The multitude of fractioned awarenesses coming into conflict and friction with one another is what produces this chaos, is what causes war, conflict, violence, arguments, disagreements, misunderstandings between individuals and the various groups and organizations with which they identify. So a sorcerer as a warrior must disengage from all that, from the ups and downs of one's fellow men, of the patterning of his fellow men, not identifying with any form of limitation, no matter how grandiose, but rather allowing our self-importance to slide away as we see the greater picture of who we are and what we could become. So not doing in a more practical, mundane level is simply interrupting any habit you have. If you have to have a warm shower at 8 o'clock in the morning, have it at night instead. If you must go for a run before work, go after work. Take a different route back from work. Go for walks in places which you're not used to. See different friends. Go travelling. Travelling is a great way to break and interrupt routines, because routines are impossible to keep when we're travelling. We're always meeting new people, having new experiences. Now that's a fairly ordinary transformation of the assemblage point. It doesn't quite take us to the levels of which we are ultimately capable of, but it's one way of interrupting our stubborn insistence on repeating the same things over and over again, identifying with the same things repeatedly, all of the time, not understanding what it is we are afraid of, what we're avoiding, what we must confront, the ordeal that we must pass through, the conscious suffering that we must endure, consciously, shedding the skin like the snake, and through this friction with the abstract, which occurs by the pressure and intrusion of intent, a force in the universe, we come to expand and become acquiescent to the law, the great law, where the personal will becomes the will of the universe, the conscious purpose of the abstract, so that your life has the beauty and order of the abstract, and that you can make of it what you will, because what you will is what it will. Thanks for listening.